I completely agree with everything you're saying, but the problem is we have written our local officials, the ones who we have elected who are supposed to be on our side, in this state. And they've added more wind and more solar in this state. These are people that are supposed to be pro-energy, have used our taxpayer dollars in this state to add more solar and wind power rather than building natural gas powered plants. If Biden doesn't want us to export, that's fine. Let's use it in the state. But our elected officials who are supposed to be going to bat for us aren't, because they are buying into this crap climate agenda as well. And so are a lot of the major oil producers, the Exxons, the Oxys, all this carbon capture crap that they're taking millions and millions of taxpayer dollars to fund their projects. They're all in the same bed with each other. So I love what you're saying. The problem is you guys can go up there and fight as much as you want, because I've gone up there and done the fighting. There are so many hands that are involved in this climate agenda crap that it is a losing battle. And I'm sorry, the Flugers, the Craddocks, the Abbotts, all of them here in this state, they're not on our side.
And I disagree with that, but some of our state officials have given the okay for some of this stuff, but I don't believe August Pfluger has. That's my opinion. And what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's right. Pfluger is really an energy leader in Congress. He leads the House Energy Action Team, which is a group of House Republicans that educate and advocate for pro-energy policies, and he's a real leader, especially for American oil and gas. I will say one of the things that your listener brought up that I do think is important is the critical focus on grid reliability and the need for more natural gas-fired power plants. We know that demand for power is increasing both in Texas but really across the country, and that the power grid is stretched exceptionally thin, and that wind and solar are unreliable sources of energy. So, I personally take an all-of-the-above approach to energy. I'm not anti-wind and solar. I think there's a role for all kinds of different energy sources. But as part of that, we foundationally need reliable sources of energy and affordable sources of energy. And natural gas is really that perfect complement to both affordability and reliability for a power grid, and it's essential that this country builds more natural gas-fired power to support that grid reliability, which is really getting stretched very thin all across the country.
Now, in the sense our caller said it's a losing cause, and like, for example, to build more natural gas producing, that sort of thing, he might be onto something there, because the federal government's surely not going to approve any of that kind of stuff, are they?
Well, that's another policy that the Biden administration is putting forward to make it much harder to build natural gas-fired power plants in the form of the Clean Power Plan 2.0, which proposes such extreme standards of carbon capture on gas-fired power plants that it makes it virtually impossible to build any new power plants. So what we need is a change in direction and a change in policy to continue the emissions reductions that we have seen in the power sector through coal to gas switching, through more use of natural gas in our grid, and so we need a change in policy to make that happen.
And what do you see happening here with no exporting of liquefied natural gas? What effects is that going to have here on us in Texas, do you think?
Well, I think one of the impacts it's going to have is it might depress production when you're closing off markets to products, and there's nowhere for those products to go. And, as natural gas is often, an associated product with oil, that could be bad for the industry at large. So I'm very concerned about that. I'm also extremely concerned about what it does globally in terms of national security. The second and third biggest producer of natural gas in the world are Russia and Iran. And when countries around the world need more energy, they want it from the United States. And if they can't get it from the United States, they're going to turn to Russia, they're going to turn to Iran, they're going to turn to Venezuela, they're going to turn to coal, they're going to turn to other sources that are not friendly to the United States. So we are really ceding our American energy leadership and our American energy dominance by not exporting this product that is so abundant here in the United States.
What effect what do you think effect is going to be around the world?
I'll say that I've talked to a number of embassies, both in Europe and in Asia, and they are extremely alarmed by this policy. They're really questioning the reliability of the United States as a reliable supplier of energy. As you know, these contracts to export LNG are generally decades long. And so if there is any question about the reliability of these supplies, then countries are going to look elsewhere. And so places like Europe, which is in an active conflict on their continent, over energy resources largely, and have turned to the United States for this, are now questioning America's commitment to their energy security.
It is 9:19 now on AM 1070 KWEL and FM 107.1. Ed Bradbury, CEO of the Exploration and Production Council. Energy is so important to our economy, but also national defense and everything, and these people are trying to bring us down. It's just amazing why they do that.
It's really frustrating. Energy, the biggest issues in voters' minds are the economy and national security, and energy is fundamental to both of those issues. We have also shown in America that even for people that do view that climate is one of their top priorities, that American oil and gas production supports climate progress as well. So there's really no rational explanation for being anti-American energy. It's essential for our economy. It has kept energy prices much lower than you see in other parts of the globe, and it has made us much more secure than we have been at other parts of our history, happening in places like the Middle East and in Europe, and energy is foundational to those conflicts as well. But we are in a much stronger position today as the world leader in energy production because of American oil and gas producers in places like Midland, Texas.
God bless Texas, and we're a little partial out here in the Permian Basin, too. Governor Abbott, last year we spotted when the Biden administration's attacked our energy production capabilities, some EPA proposals. And as the governor said, the basin is the crown jewel of Texas' mighty oil and gas industry, and the state of Texas will do whatever it takes to protect production and hundreds of thousands of good-paying energy jobs in the state. And, of course, we are so dependent on oil and gas, and we love that product. Nasty, evil oil. God bless Texas. I'm a little partial.
Well, I echo that. God bless Texas for sure. And I would just say, the Permian isn't just the crown jewel of Texas. It's the crown jewel of oil and gas production in the world, right? I mean, it is, one of the largest oil fields in the world. There are great people that are producing oil and gas every day under really difficult conditions. And, I personally am extremely grateful for what y'all do for America and for the world.
Okay, Ann, we'll let it go at that. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate that, and I trust that you will have a good day. God bless you and yours, and I'll say God bless Texas, but God bless the USA, too, of course.
Thanks, Craig. I appreciate it, and thanks to all your listeners.
You bet. Have a good morning.